This book reminded me why I love fae fantasy. Things go a little wonky, she ends up bound to a wolf. I could listen to an Irish narrator talk for hours about literally nothing, and I would be happy. Hello and welcome to my May wrap up. If we go through some stats this month, I read a total of 11 books and 1 DNF, so I'm gonna count it as 12. I have an average rating of a 3.27, which I think was higher than last month. Also, I found some new favorites of the year this month, so that was pretty good. And I also found some new least favorites of the year. Did I say of the month? I meant of the year. Without further ado, we're gonna get into the 12 books I read in the month of May. You know the drill. It's a wrap up. What else are we here for? The first book we're gonna start with is my DNF, because that's the most recent book I've started and didn't finish, and I feel like I just want to get it out of the way because I have some good books to talk about, so let's start at the bottom. Going through the stack, my DNF was Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I did not like this book. I ended up getting to chapter 23, page 238, so I gave it 200 pages. I was listening to it on audio as well as tandem reading it in the physical book, and at one point in chapter 22, I was just sitting there and I was like, I don't care. The vibes were like watching a movie about college and partying, but you're sitting there and you're like, that's not what college is like. Also, just some of the character traits, it's a little bit misogynistic with the men. I just didn't care. And this is on my 25 to read in 2025, and if I didn't start it and try it this year, I was supposed to donate it. So I did get it off that list, and I'm happy I did. It pissed me off so bad that I was like, I just don't care. I don't care. I literally could not care less what happens in this book. I'm not a big DNFer, but this, I was just like, I feel like reading the rest of this is a waste of my time. I just feel like there was way better books on my TBR or like my physical TBR that I wanted to get to, and this was just something to drag through before I could get to those other books. So I put it down for my sake, for the rating's sake. This was a DNF. We're going all around in the list. This is not in chronological order like I normally do. Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. We're following our FMC who's just moved to Ireland for this animator job. She kind of moved there to start over with her life, and then she meets our MMC who is her neighbor, and also he's a mortuary. Is that the word? They kind of have a funny meet cute in which she thinks he's a serial killer, but he's actually not. Their romance was so sweet. I listened to a lot of this on audio, which was a great decision because the Irish narrator ate down, let me tell you. I could listen to an Irish narrator talk for hours about literally nothing and I would be happy. I ended up rating this at 3 stars. I think the problem I had with it was the length, which obviously going into that, I knew that it was very short. However, I just wanted more. If this had been a little bit longer, I think the MMC would have been my not favorite, but he would have been up there. He was so sweet and anxious, but also so broody, and it was just really good. I just wish we had a little bit extra time overall. I felt like the ending was a little bit rushed. If you're looking for something like this, I would recommend, and I'm surprised that this book has not gotten more traction online. The next book we're getting to is one of the fantasy romances I read this month, and that is Direbound by Sable Sorensen. I feel like people have been saying it's going around online a ton, but honestly, I don't really see it online that much. I've seen 2 people talk about it. I have a lot of opinions about this book, and some are bad and some are good. We'll start with the rating. I rated this a 4 stars, but this was a weird 4 stars. It's not 4 stars, yes, absolutely recommend. It's 4 stars, but more for the potential and the vibes than execution almost. It didn't feel right rating it a 3, and it didn't feel right rating it a 4, but I was like, I'll just give it a 4. This book is about our FMC whose sister gets taken by the Nabbers, who are essentially vampires that steal kids in the night to act as blood bags. In order to find her sister, her plan is to enlist in the army, go into the enemy ranks of the vampires, and save her. So that's what she does. Things go a little wonky. She ends up bound to a wolf, and a lot of different things happen. It's kind of like Twilight mixed with Harry Potter mixed with Fourth Wing. If I had to give it a definition, that's what I would call it. Execution was very poor. It was not good. The world building was bad. The plot was bad. The foreshadowing, bad. Here's my reasoning. I guessed literally every single reveal and plot twist that was in this book. Every single one. I am not good at guessing plot twists. I am not good at catching the foreshadowing in books. Mainly fly right over it, don't even notice. This, it was so obvious, and I'm like, why am I even reading this book? I know exactly what's gonna happen at the end. And you know what? I was right. I literally said it 50 pages in. You know what the thing was? The last 100 pages pages where all of those things happened, 8 down. 8 down. It was so good. The rest was a little bit less than mid, maybe even 2-star territory, but the end was so good that I was like, I know that the next book in the series is going to be good if I think I know where it's going, which is kind of pretty obvious, but it is being traditionally published, so I don't know if that's going to affect the enjoyment or how it's written or anything. The next book could be 4, maybe 5-star read, and like an actual 4, maybe 5-star read, rather than what this mess was. I just wish that we shortened the first 450 pages of this book down into like 100. You could have made this series like one book, honestly. It would have been really good and would have been like a 5-star book for me. It honestly just felt like a huge setup for the next book in the series. Also, one more thing that really got to me was the FMC was so annoying. I'm normally just like there for the vibes and don't really notice like problems or plot holes or like holes in the character. This one I noticed, which means it was very glaring. The main character would say something about herself, like telling you who she is, and then immediately contradict herself. They were telling and not showing, and then the parts that they did show were not what they were saying. She like really prided herself on being able to like survive because she was very poor growing up, and so she was like, all these rich people, like they can't handle anything, like they don't know how to survive, they can't be put in uncomfortable situations, they can't adapt. And then immediately she would be put in a situation in which she was amongst the rich people, and then she couldn't adapt to that situation and be like, why do you guys do it this way? Like this is so dumb, and single herself out because she couldn't adapt. But she kept saying that she was very adaptable, and I was like, you're not though. You're not. Literally every situation that you don't fit in, you single yourself out and make yourself look so dumb because you can't just like go along with it to not die. We have a lot more to go through. I need to pick it up. Okay, this one will be pretty short. This was in the same reading vlog. It's Soul of the Witch by Harley LaRue. This is the 3rd book in the Souls trilogy. It follows like demons. It's like demon romance. I don't think I'm going to be reading anything else from Harley LaRue. This kind of was boring. It was basically a whole entire book about a training montage in which every aspect of the training involves sex. And then they were like, we're racing into this like big battle that's really important, and then they would just be fucking every chapter. I am okay if you fuck every chapter. My issue is when you emphasize the importance of your task and then proceed to put no effort into doing that task. That is literally been built up along the 3 books to be like this big all-out battle war, like big deal, and then you guys just aren't taking it seriously. It kind of pissed me off. I ended up giving this book a 1 star. I didn't care about the relationship. It felt very insta-lovey, which was weird because we had been building up like the slow burn of this relationship throughout the other 2 books, and then we got to this book and like within 50 pages they had sex, and I was like, okay, there was no like payoff, you know what I mean? The payoff was, I guess, reading the other 2 books, but I wanted a little bit more before the payoff. I immediately forgot everything that happened in this book after I closed it, so 1 star. But if you think you'd be into it, like, go for it. Next, we have this very beloved book talk book, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I rated this a 2.5. Yeah, I was not a huge fan. It wasn't bad. It was just very average. And I think maybe my problem is I'm not huge on YA. So when I read them, I'm always like, wow, I'm disappointed. And then I'm like, wait, it was YA. No wonder you're disappointed. This follows like a magic system in which there's a bunch of cards, and then the people who own the cards get the power of the cards. There's this like forest with mist, and if you go into the forest, you contract a disease in which you have powers, but you're not allowed to. So if they find out that you have powers, they'll kill you. The only way you can have magic is if you have a card. Elspeth, our main character, went into the woods when she was a little girl and got powers, but she's been hiding it ever since, and her power is to be able to see the provenance cards and see who has them. So she's like very valuable to a lot of people, and that's kind of we follow on what's going on in this book. The setting, I will say, was everything, and that's why I'm continuing with the duology. If I read this in the fall, the vibes, peak vibes for the fall. Kind of wish I did read it in the fall, but oh well. The characters and the romance fell a bit flat for me. Didn't really care, and they didn't have standout characteristics to where I was like, I can tell you apart from every other character I've ever read. They were just kind of like flat. I will be reading the next one in the series to see if it makes any better. I've actually heard worse things about that one, so we'll see what I think. And I also have her new adult book that I'm very excited to read. I think that one's gonna be more up my alley. Fucking Sweet by Emily Rath. This is the 3rd book in the Jacksonville Ray series. series. If any more books are coming out in the series, I probably will not pick them up. I rated this one a 2.5. Why did it need to be this long? And this isn't even the longest one in the series. Literally what I wrote in my review. Exactly what I thought it would be. It was very average, exactly what I thought it would be. It didn't do anything less, it didn't do anything more. It did exactly what I thought going in, and it was like fine. It was enjoyable. I had a fun time. I listened to it on audio and got really scared when I was listening to it in my car, and I thought everyone else could hear the diabolical, dirty things that were going on in this book. There's nothing else to say about it. Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This I read in my 24-hour reading vlog. First book I finished this month. I gave it a 3 stars. This is like a spin-off series to the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy by Carrie Maniscalco. The Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy follows the 7 deadly sins live as people. There's like a murder mystery along with it. This is a continuation following the other brothers. Here's what I said in my review. I really wish that Wolf was the MMC. I stand by that. Indy was just kind of boring. Stand by that. The plot was slightly all over the place. Stand by that. It was enjoyable, but I don't think I'm continuing with the series. Stand by that. Indy was our MMC. She was just like every other bitch. Like, you know that sound? I could not tell you anything memorable about him. Literally not a thing. Dark, broody, sassy man epidemic, but like in a not notable way. Wolf though? Please, Carrie Maniscalco, if you write a book about Wolf, let me know. I'll be sad, I'll be back. But I don't think I'm continuing on with the series. Like, I just didn't care and the world was not giving. There was too much going on. I'm not attached to any of it. Because you could tell me another outlandish thing and I would believe you because there's so much going on. And then it gives me no stakes because I'm like, well, anything could happen because anything is happening. Another controversial, beloved book right here. Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. This is my second Carissa Broadbent book. I rated this 3 stars. I'm currently reading the second book to this trilogy right now, and I'm liking it a little bit better. So I will say that if you're like offended by my 3-star rating of this, don't worry. I think the next one's gonna be higher. I don't really like Max, and I think a lot of people love him, and that's why they love this series. I love Deshauna. She's a queen, but Max, I'm like, you're kind of just an asshole, but not in a like attractive, broody way. Like, I just want to hit you in the face. Check your privilege, king. I don't know. I'm gonna read you my review again. Honestly, I ate with the reviews this month because everyone I read, I'm like, wait, that literally summed it up perfectly. The best way I can describe a Carissa Broadbent fantasy novel is that they are realistic fantasies. If this world was real in the way that our world is real, the stories would go exactly the way that they are. That sounds confusing, but it makes it so there is a reduced level of escapism because it makes it feel like it could happen in real life. I cannot pinpoint why, but every one of her books I've read has a slight disconnect between me and the characters, making it so I cannot get into the story completely. My best guess would be the writing. This fantasy is unlike anything I've ever read. While I rated it 3 stars, I would recommend it because I feel the disconnect is a me problem and not a book problem. I'm gonna try and reiterate this in a way that's less confusing. Her worlds feel real in a way that makes me so sad. The Poppy War. If you've ever read The Poppy War, I feel like her worlds are similar in that it's so devastating and real and like pinpoints issues that we have in our world that I'm like, damn, she got us on that one. And then I'm like, well, I'm not escaping into a fun fantasy world because I wouldn't want to be here. I do not want to be here. This sounds like no fun. It's not eating as an escapism fantasy novel, which is what I went into it hoping for. That's a me problem. And I think the reason why this book wasn't like a love, like 5 stars for me, is a me problem at the end of the day. This follows Tashana, and Tashana is a slave. She ends up getting freed, goes to this other neighboring kingdom, and barters with their leader for help trying to free all the slaves. Kind of tricked into another form of slavery in a way, and she meets Max, who trains her and takes her under his wing in order to like train her in magic. I don't even know how to explain it. These books are so sad and depressing. That's like how I felt the whole book. Like everything that happened to Tashana, I was like, damn, that sucks. Do not be deceived. I really like this book. It just wasn't like a all-time favorite of mine. We're gonna go over Lost and Lassoed next because I don't have the physical copy with me because somebody I know is borrowing it. Lost and Lassoed is the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. It's a romance and it follows Teddy and what's his name? I don't know what his name is. It was a 3 stars for me. Super duper average cowboy romance. Like, it was a fun time, but it didn't really do anything new or revolutionary. It was like a palate cleanser that it did its job perfectly fine. It was a little bit more emotional than the other books in the series. There's not much to recommend or to not recommend. It was just like there, and if you want to read it, I would say, yeah, go for it. Hello, Editing Reagan here. I'm editing this video and realizing that I forgot to talk about my reread of the month, which was in preparation for the new release coming next month, and it was Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is one of my favorite books last year. I think it made my top 10 list. I reread it and I felt the exact same way. I'll put the review up on the screen. I'm pretty sure it was a 4-star read for me, and I'm so hyped for the next book that comes out in 3 days now as I'm editing this. So hopefully that'll be a 5 stars. Did forget to mention that in this video, so I thought I'd put it in now, which means I technically read 13 books this month. We have one of my new 5-star favorites, and let's just save the best one for last. Quicksilver by Kelly Hart. This was a 5-star read for me. It is a fantasy romance, a fae fantasy romance, which is what I've been in the mood for recently. This book reminded me why I love fae fantasy. We're following our main girly, and she's like in this world that sucks butt, and she's like very poor and having to like fight for her survival. And then some shit goes down and she gets transported into another world, is dependent on for the fae realm survival, kind of like she is the chosen one vibes. And honestly, just going blind. Kingfisher was the MMC that I needed in the moment that I read this, and Ceres is my new favorite FMC. The world building, the found family, the magic system, the high stakes plot. What more could you ask for, and what more could I ask for? Nothing. Perfect, amazing. I loved it. The first 200 pages were a little bit slower, if I'm honest. I had no problem with it. I know a lot of people who do have a problem with it. Did the word cliff notes come up in this book? Yes. Did I choose to overlook it because I was having a fun time? Also, yes. We ended with like just enough of a cliffhanger to where I was like, I need the next book, but also to where I was satisfied. I couldn't stop smiling. I couldn't stop smiling the whole time I was reading it. I was just having such a fun time. I had forgotten why I love fantasy romance, and this book brought it back to me, and I will forever love it for that. These next 2 books were books that I read in my Best Books of 2024 video, so if you want like super in-depth moment by moment thoughts about them, you should go turn to that. God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This was a 4-star read. The best way I can describe this book, a literary fiction thriller set in a summer camp in the 70s. Everyone said go into it expecting more literary fiction, and while that is true, I was still spooked. I was scared to get out of my bed and go to the bathroom because of how eerie it was. It wasn't like jump scare thriller, but it was like eerie, like who could be lurking around the corner type vibe. This book was so close to a 5-star. The ending was satisfying, but wasn't satisfying for me. I wanted more of a mind fuck. I like my thrillers and like books like this where they're like kind of eerie to have more of a mind fuck ending than like a happy ending. And I'd say, in my opinion, this was more leaning towards happy ending. So that's why I did dock a star. The rest of it though, I was having like 5-star feelings. The men in this book made me hate the entire sex. They were despicable and disgusting. The things they did, ew. Ew. The commentary on women in the workplace, power imbalance, wealth imbalance, reputation, corruption of the justice system were chef's kiss. So freaking good. All the little minute commentaries on the time period. It's like a commentary on Western society in the 70s, but also like it applies so heavily to today. It was very relevant and real. The Wedding People by Alison Estach. This is a literary fiction. I am not a huge literary fiction reader, but I've been getting into it. And this book was one huge reminder. In life, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Side quests up the wazoo. You can literally do whatever you want, and why aren't you doing it? There's literally nothing to stop you except for the law. So like maybe if it's illegal, like don't do that. Sorry, a car almost just backed into another car. If you like The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, I would pick this up. I think this would be for you, but it is about our FMC. She is depressed. She's done. Her husband cheated on her with her best friend. Like, she is down in the dumps. So she goes to this hotel that she's always wanted to go to end her life. She realizes that she is the only person at that hotel that isn't a part of the wedding party. The wedding brings together so many people that otherwise have no connections. A wedding is very performative. It's a metaphor for life and how people perform for other people, in the sense that you want everyone else to think that you're great, that you're doing good, that everything's okay, when in reality, not true. And the wedding party does this to like the nth degree. As an outsider, our FMC observes this wedding party, has realizations about life that change her mindset. And it's like reminding her why life is worth living. The writing was so unlike anything I've ever read. And I feel like literary fictions and books about life and concept and like, yes, romanticize everything. The writing is so flowery. This book didn't have that. This book was almost, the best thing I could compare it to is like dry humor for writing, or like dark humor, because our main main character is like so done with everything, so done with life, does not give one single flying fuck. So she talks about everything very matter-of-factly, and there's no reason to sugarcoat it because she is so done. The author will write these heavy realizations about the main character or life or about anything in like one sentence that is not like a run-on, like has commas. It's like literally like 5 words, period. And then you're like, damn, she said that. Like, damn. It hits you so hard because it is so concise and to the point, and there's no unnecessary flourishes. You can get so many messages across that all like connected in like this big web, and it was very magical and very good. So these right here, -1, are all the 12 books that I read in May. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video or me, if you had like a little crush on me, you should follow. I'm done. I need a sip of water because that was a lot of talking. My Bookstagram, my Fable, link down below. I love you all. Bye. I'll see you in another one.